about living my life as a disabled teen who has a service dog. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about the government's definition of service dogs, emotional support animals, and therapy dogs, which are 3 different things. So let's go ahead and get on into it. But before we do, I just want to say, definitely subscribe if you haven't seen my face before, but especially if you have and you're still not subscribed, what are you doing? You need to subscribe because we need to get important education about the right laws out there. So yeah, we need to use this platform to spread awareness as much as we can, and with that, please give this video a like, because the more likes it gets, the more the YouTube algorithm will say, let's promote this video more, and the more they promote the video, you know, the more people see it and the more education there is. Education over ignorance, y'all. Education over ignorance. So yeah, we just need to remember that. And also, do not forget to hit the notification bell, especially now that I've been going live a lot lately. However, I may or may not have broken my new laptop just a little bit. I should be getting it in a couple weeks. So yeah, the lives are going to be on hold for just a couple weeks. But definitely have your notifications on, because that's how you'll get notified when I do go live again. So, with all of that self-promo stuff out of the way, I also want to say that my service dog, Sammy, is not here currently because he is at a board and train. So, yeah, he'll be back in a couple months. So that's yet another reason why you should subscribe, because you don't want to miss that. It's going to be crazy, lots of fun, and he should be graduating like maybe in December. I'm not quite sure yet, but yeah, we just gotta keep going, and I want you to follow the journey with us. So, legal definitions of service dogs and emotional support and therapy dogs. Okay, first, there is so much miscommunication or misrepresentation of those 3 different terms. The 3 different communities often get confused with each other, and one creator who has a service dog and suffers from POTS, EDS, dysautonomia, things like that. Her channel is Momming with Migraine. She did an amazing video on this topic a few months ago, and no, I'm not copying her. I'm just doing my own version because I know the more creators in the service dog YouTube community that step up and do it, the more awareness is spread. So yeah, let's start with the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. This is a law or an act within the government that protects disabled individuals, whether that be with service dogs, with rights, just like they protect everyone with disabilities, whether you have an ESA, a service dog, or if you're just a person with a disability who has neither of those. They protect you in your work life, etc., etc. Now, the ADA's definition of a service dog is a dog or miniature horse. Those are the two different types of service animals you can have that is specifically task trained to mitigate one person's disabilities. That does not specify whether it can be physical or invisible disabilities, such as like diabetes, POTS, PTSD, you know, all those things. The ADA is not very disability specific, which I like, because that means it's inclusive to all. But your condition must be disabling, and there must be certain tasks that a dog or miniature horse can be trained to do to help you. An example of that is retrieving items, alerting to things like, obviously, blood sugar crashes, things like that, and autism meltdowns, alerting and responding to them, alerting to migraines, mobility assistance, things like that. And what makes a service dog? A service dog is, like I said, their task. That's what sets them apart from the other two. And there is no service dog certification in the United States of America. So if you're a new handler, let me just tell you,
girl, do not be one of the tricked people who believe in service dog registries. I will tell
you right now, there is not one under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Your service dog doesn't even have to be trained professionally. They can be, well, technically they do have to be like trained to a professional standard, because that's what gives them rights to accompany you in public. But when I say professionally, I mean they don't have to come from a program. They can be owner trained. They can be owner trained with the assistance of a trainer. They can go to board and trained, etc., etc. Like, they can be randomly chosen for you from a service dog school place. Like, there's so many different ways you can do it, but like, they have to go through somewhat of a professional level of training to be able to A, do the task that makes them service dogs, and B, accompany you in public, whether that be with a professional trainer or not. And if you're doing owner training, I do honestly recommend getting a trainer to help you on the side, because owner training is it can take a toll on you, it can take a toll on your dog, etc., etc. And like I said, there's no service dog certification, registry, anything like that. Now, there's a lot of fake ones out there, but that literally is no legal standing. However, there are tests that service dogs in training can do, called the public access test, which ensures that they are held up enough to the standard behavior or whatever requirements that a service dog should be in order to go from the in training stage to like fully trained service dog, even though training never stops. However, some teams do not do this public access test. It is not required under the ADA, although I recommend that you do it, and lots of good reputable trainers, whether they're assisting you in owner training, etc., recommend that you do it. And I'm guessing that most of the service dog schools, whether they be pre-matched or whatever, I think that they, like 100% of the time, do public access tests. So yeah, that is the definition of a service dog. In other countries, a service dog is called an assistance dog, and an assistance dog is the same thing. They do tasks to mitigate a person's disability. That's just what you'd hear a service dog being called in other countries. However, I use the term assistance dog because I feel like it sounds more professional. That's what I call Sammy, but yeah, they're the same thing. A dog that mitigates a person's disabilities via. Okay, term 2, therapy dog. Now, what is this? A therapy dog is a dog that is not trained for one person. Rather, they are someone's pet whom they decided to make a therapy dog. And these dogs go into certain centers such as hospitals, children's hospitals, nursing homes, and their sole job is to be able to socialize with the people in these places and make them feel better. That is their sole job. However, I don't know if there is a process to make a therapy dog a therapy dog. I know that there's no service dog registration, but I think that's just because I'm not a therapy in the therapy dog community. So yeah, but just do your own research on that, which you may have a hard time doing because there's so much misuse of the terms. But yeah, just know that a therapy dog is those dogs that you see go into nursing homes, hospitals, or whatever, and their sole purpose is to interact with the public, and they don't have specific tasks. The only thing they really need is like superior manners, I guess you could say. But like I said, I don't really know much about therapy dog specific registration. It is an emotional support animal, or ESA. This is commonly confused with service dog, and misuse of terms like this is what makes me like, I can't stand it. So, emotional support dogs are to comfort their handlers, and they do have one specific handler. However, they are not task trained, so they just, like, they can't accompany someone in public because they don't have the task training that a service dog does. Their rights are to go into non-pet friendly housing, however. So, like, obviously if a place doesn't allow pets, they'd have to allow an emotional support animal. There is no registration for this in the United States, much like service dogs. However, unlike service dogs, I do believe that you have to have a doctor's note. And they can also fly with you, but this year they changed the law to where aren't necessarily protected under the DOT, so it's up to the individual airline. So if you are an emotional support handler, I would suggest you be careful what airline you're choosing to fly with. That was a loss for the emotional support animal community, but a big win for service dog community, like the service dog community in general, because I feel like that way there's not much room to abuse the system. ESAs, the thing about them is they haven't went through the rigorous training that a service dog has. However, they are still valid. However, there is a type of service dog that kind of bridges the gap between emotional support animals and service dogs, and that is a psychiatric or psych service dog. Now, they are not ESAs because they are specifically task trained, and that's what makes them a service dog, but their tasks are to mitigate like psychiatric disabilities like PTSD, crowd control, which is where dogs will stand like in front of the handler and make sure like they feel comfortable around certain people. They will interrupt habits such as scratching and stuff like that. So they are psychiatric service dogs because they are task trained to mitigate a person's mental illnesses, not to be confused with emotional support animals, which are not task trained. And with the new, basically, psychiatric service dogs are now protected under the DOT just as much as other types of task trained service dogs are, and they're not known as emotional support when like with the airlines and stuff, which I'm happy about. Like, we needed that a long time ago, especially with my service dog being part psych. Like, that really does warm my heart. So, however, because service dogs are protected on airlines, and now psych service dogs aren't thought of as basically the same thing as emotional support
paperwork,
animals,
I
like
meant
they were
like
before
vaccine
this change in
papers and stuff,
2021.
because there
They
is no
do
registration
require, like,
paperwork in the United
I think
States
it
of
depends on
America
the
for
airline.
service dogs, ESAs, anything like
Service
that.
dogs require paperwork or anything, but like I said, it's really good that there's not much room to abuse the system anymore as far as flying goes. I was hoping this video wouldn't be too confusing for you guys, so I did my best to make sure it wasn't. So I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. And like I said, I will not be able to go live for a few weeks, sadly, but my laptop's gonna come back better than ever. So when it does come back, make sure you have your notifications on now, so that when it does come back, you will get notified every single time I do a video and or a live chat. So I love you guys so much, and I really think you guys are gonna like the other video I have to film. I really think you guys are gonna like it, as well as next week I also have another vlog coming up because I'm finally going back to the foot doctor. I couldn't this week because something came up, but I'm finally getting some answers, and I may be going to see my neurologist as well that same day. I know it's probably going to be next week, but yeah, there's going to be some vlogs, some sit down videos, and basically a bunch of stuff coming out. So I love you guys. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.